Heartstopper 3 has much to unpack, as the first look into what happens next is beyond what you've expected. It's beautiful to see Charlie and Nick overcome many of their relationship struggles, but Heartstopper 3 might not be that happily ever after story fans wish for, as there will be many setbacks you might need to prepare for emotionally. Tara and Darcy were the perfect examples of a queer couple in season 1, especially since they looked pretty confident about being together. However, it was a big shocker in season 2 to see them having issues because Darcy has been having a hard time at home. Interestingly, at the end of the season, Tara and Darcy made up when Darcy opened up about her situation with her mother, and it looks like an absolute happy ending for them both, except it isn't. Darcy revealed that she might never come out to her mother about being a lesbian, and that's okay. But her mom greatly affects her mental health, as she's always stressed whenever she has to argue with her mom. Also, she rarely stays home, and her mom doesn't care where she sleeps, which is a terrible experience for a teenager like Darcy. And this problem will be a primary focus of Darcy's relationship with Tara in season 3. Although it might be impossible for her mom to come around, Darcy would have to find a better solution than being around her mother's negativity. And now that Tara knows about it, she could help too by finding a way for Darcy to stay with her and her family till Darcy's mom comes around, if she ever does. Almost every Heartstopper character went through some significant emotions in season 2, and Tao was one. From trying to please Ella to being insecure when he suspected Elle might be leaving for another school, Tao had a pretty rough season. However, Tao finally understood that he needed to let Ella be her person and go to the school of art she wanted. Tao has proven to be understanding and willing to try a long-distance relationship with Ella, but it will take a lot of work. Since Ella and Tao have been best friends, they've never been apart, and Tao would sometimes feel lonely without Ella. Also, they could make their relationship work, but Ella is going to a new school that might take up most of her time, and the first look into this relationship suggests things would get shaky at first, because while Ella would be busy exploring new friendships, arts, and assignments at her new school, Tao could be sitting all lonely and waiting to get a text from Ella. However, Heartstopper 3 will surely make Ellie and Tao work around the best way to go about the long distance, where they are both happy and fulfilled. Isaac discovering he's an arrow ace is one of the sweetest things in Heartstopper 2. And for an even better context, Isaac borrowed an Arrow Ace book from the library towards the end of the season to fully understand himself. So viewers should expect to know more about being Arrow Ace as Isaac digs deeper. However, the show's director, Euros Lin, warned fans not to expect this discovery to be smooth when he said, "We get a sense that this isn't an easy realization to come to, and there's complexity to come. Isaac researching what it means to be a Rotar Ace might not scare him, as there's nothing better than learning about himself." But the first look into Heartstopper 3 shows that the complexity has much to do with Isaac's interest in James. These two are obviously into each other, but for the relationship to work, James has to be on board with Isaac being an arrow ace and still be able to find the connection between them without any problem. It won't be easy, but James and Isaac's relationship will take a crazy turn in Heartstopper 3. One of the biggest highlights of Heartstopper 2 was at the prom event, where Imogen gave Sahar a specific longing look, and there's no way this isn't becoming one of the main points of Heartstopper 3. Imogen has been incredible since season 1, but things went wrong for her in Heartstopper 2 when she dated Ben before calling it off. Imogen and Sahar's romantic relationship was hinted at earlier in Heartstopper 2, when Imogen assumed that Sahar was straight and Sahar had to state that she was bisexual. So, at that point, Imogen still believed she was straight until she saw Sahar performing at the prom, and Imogen looked at Sahar in a very loving but shocking way. Although they are both casual friends, Sahar did something to Imogen while she was on the stage, and it shows that Imogen may have awakened and realized the absolute truth about herself. Since they are childhood friends, it will be easy for Heartstopper 3 to explore a likely romance between them. Interestingly, it will be a very crazy experience once Imogen realizes and admits that she isn't as straight as she thought, and also, Sahar could have had a crush on her since they were younger. But the most amazing thing is also expected to come out of this, because with the awful past experiences Imogen has had with love, it might be time to experience something better in a way she never imagined. Heartstopper 2 had many things happening simultaneously, keeping every fan on their toes. And the insane thing is that even though Heartstopper was meant to be a teen show, it has also taught viewers something new. There's no age too late for self-discovery and finding love. Everyone's favorite teacher in Heartstopper, Mr. Ajayi, was recently joined by Mr. Farooq, and they've had enough time to bond when they aren't attending to the student. So, as executive producer Patrick Walters already teased, Heartstopper 3 promises to bring more of this couple. Patrick said, "We will 100% see more of Mr. Farooq and Mr. Ajayi in season 3. I would say that those two are a perfect couple and there will be lots of hilarious, odd couple chemistry between them. Since they were mostly able to hook up in Paris now that they are back in school, Mr. Ajayi and Mr. Farooq could get to go on an official date where there's no disturbance. And the fun thing is, this relationship could make it possible for Heartstopper 3 to get a wedding ceremony with all students present. Mr. Ajayi and Mr. Farooq may have found what they wanted in each other as adults to take the next step, which could inspire the younger characters not to be afraid to go for what they want. It's tremendous progress to see Charlie and Nick finally talking about the uncomfortable situations like the eating problems Charlie is battling and the intimidating issues he suffered when he first came out. As they were both able to have a deep conversation at the end of the prom night, Nick made Charlie promise that he would always tell him whenever he felt terrible to the point of harming himself, and Nick has also vowed to support Charlie with his eating issues. After they separated that night, Charlie felt supported and happy when he left Nick and wanted to send him an I love you text, but Charlie didn't send it, which makes season 3 a delightful one already, because if Charlie didn't send the text, he might have had a better way to tell Nick about his feelings. However, Charlie may have overcome many past issues, but his eating struggles are still a big problem. According to the books, the first look into what happens next is scary and dark. As Nick promised, he will try to help Charlie solve this issue. Nick would tell his mom, Sarah, about the situation, and they would help Charlie by making him see a doctor. Sadly, Charlie wouldn't be able to tell his mom unless Nick steps in, but all of these wouldn't help much as Charlie will be placed on a waiting list, and his condition would only worsen because he would hurt himself again like he used to, and this will lead to an emergency where Charlie is admitted into a psychiatric hospital and starts seeing a therapist. The intervention on Charlie's health would work to an extent as he would get his eating conditions under control, but this would result in another issue where Charlie becomes thinner and starts feeling insecure about his body, so he will begin to hate himself and become less romantic with Nick as he wouldn't be able to take off his clothes, fearing that Nick would be disgusted at his scars and size. Heartstopper 3 would unveil Charlie's mental illness and explore how Nick stands by him, so viewers should brace up for a challenging future for these lovers as it will be very dark for them both to pass through. Although sad things are expected to happen with Charlie and Nick in Heartstopper 3, the good thing is that Kit Connor and Joe Locke will be reprising their roles. Their friends will also return as Toby Donovan, who portrays Isaac, has further self-discovery to experience. Yasmin Finney and William Gao, who play Ella and Tao, have a long-distance love story to work through, so the two cast will be returning. Corinna Brown and Kizzy Ajel will also be returning as Tara and Darcy, and Rhea Norwood, who plays Imogen, is also reprising her role to explore how she transforms from straight to bisexual. Sadly, Sebastian Croft, who plays Ben, isn't returning to Heartstopper 3. Ben's last speech to Charlie about leaving Truham for his 6th form is the completion of Ben's story in the show, and since Ben is leaving, Sebastian has also wrapped up his work on the show. You don't have to worry about getting Heartstopper 3 because the season has been announced and greenlighted before now, so it's happening. The only problem that could cause a delay is the ongoing writers and SAG-AFTRA strike, but the show's writer, Alice Oseman, said that she's already writing a season 3 regardless, so if everything goes according to plan, Heartstopper should be back in 2024. What do you think of the first look into Heartstopper 3? Share your thoughts in the comments, and thanks for watching.